Sagittarius, what if I told you your name is quietly lighting up every predictive model and career algorithm at a major global institution right now? Not because you've made a mistake, but because your trajectory is so vast, so outside their pre-programmed box, that the system can't comprehend the velocity you're about to achieve. That's the uncontained freedom we're about to explore together. This isn't just another message about signs or fate. It's a moment of pure, blinding ignition. And if this message found you right now on this exact day, it means a force far bigger than any ceiling or definition is moving in your favor. And yes, Sagittarius, it's true. You're not being contained out of suspicion. You're being recognized because your vision can no longer be ignored. Welcome in. What we do here isn't about prediction. It's about decoding divine timing into an accelerated personal launch. And today we're stepping into one of the most powerful energetic movements I've ever witnessed for Sagittarius. Picture this. Behind closed doors in a glossy, tech-forward office, a small group of analysts begins to quietly panic. Their entire predictive software designed to forecast your next 5 years is flashing an error. The sender of your next great leap doesn't exist in any file. The destination is beyond their known map, and the only name attached is yours. They've pulled your history, your jobs, your degrees, your past travels, but none of it explains the momentum you've built. And maybe that's the whole point. Because this vision wasn't triggered by a resume or a standard application. It was signed in a universal truth, one that responds only to boundless belief. Sagittarius, you've been shooting arrows into the unknown for years. Bold declarations of truth no one paused to witness. Choices made in quiet pursuit of meaning. Unfiltered prayers whispered into the wide-open sky. But someone was listening. The universe was. The divine noticed your unwavering aim. And now, a balance is unfolding. This isn't some lucky break. This is the earned momentum of a seeker who refused to settle. What the world's ledgers can't record, the heavens have been tallying without fail. To the outside, it may look like a sudden, strange career leap, or an unexpected journey. But to those who see clearly, it's your spiritual inheritance, your true purpose finally arriving. So if you're here now, it's not chance. Something drew you in. And if you've ever felt restricted, caged, or misunderstood for the size of your ambition, I need you to hear this. You were never too much. You were being prepared. But this next part, this release of everything that's owed, only moves when you move. So, pause. Mark this moment with something real, something intentional. Drop a comment below that says, "My trajectory is limitless." That sentence isn't just a gesture, it's a signal, a coded affirmation that tells the energy watching you, yes, I'm open now to the next horizon. And Sagittarius, thank you truly for showing up in this space. Every single like, every word you share below, it's more than support. It strengthens the current of expansion we're all drawing into form together. I want you to stay with me all the way through, because what's waiting at the end of this message is something that could truly shift your life from the contained to the uncontained. So, tell me what part of your soul brought you here today. Drop your sacred number 339 and let's begin this path together. They never saw it coming. Not the analysts who built entire models to forecast movement. Not the advisors who thought they understood ambition. Not the polished systems built to measure only what fits neatly into columns and codes. And yet there it was. Your name. pulsing in red across a screen that was never designed to register anything that could soar. In a room ruled by logic and metrics, a vision appeared that broke their frame of reference. It wasn't flagged because it was false. It was flagged because it made no measurable sense. And that, dear Sagittarius, is exactly where your story begins, not in suspicion, but in significance that can no longer be ignored. These institutions, with their endless rows of past data and predictive formulas, know how to respond to history. They are experts at reviewing what has already been documented degrees, proven work history, and promotions based on past merit. But what happens when something slips through that doesn't carry any of those markers? When something enters the room that doesn't arrive from a known path or a vetted mentor? That's when the panic starts. Not because it's wrong, but because it's unexplainable. The origin of this energy, this blessing, doesn't trace back to anything they've learned to trust, and still, it keeps coming. It keeps pushing through as if carried by a current they can't contain, as if it's guided by a signature they don't have the software to verify. What they haven't realized is this: your name has been authorized for this moment long before they built their systems. Long before approval required a linear plan, you were chosen not by a boardroom, but by divine intention. You've been moving with a pattern so expansive and quiet, it escaped their attention. You kept seeking when no one applauded. You kept choosing the uncomfortable truth when no one was watching. You stayed hopeful when the air around you was heavy with reasons to quit. They dig into your past, expecting to find proof of a predictable climb. But your strength isn't filed in those folders. It lives in how you've constantly searched for the next truth. They're confused because your resume doesn't add up to this destiny. But this moment isn't about math. It's about meaning. You've been investing in a form of wealth they don't recognize: philosophy, adventure, radical honesty, and a spiritual presence so powerful it doesn't flinch when unseen. This is a currency they never thought to include in their models. And yet, here it is. And here you are. This isn't a sentimental reward. It's a cosmic correction, a rebalancing initiated not by emotion, but by law. The kind of law that's written into the patterns of stars and quests, of freedom and philosophy. And here's something rarely spoken aloud. When sacred, unbound energy enters a rigid system, that system always flinches. It starts searching for language to explain what it wasn't built to understand. It opens every drawer, scans every database, asks every question, and still finds nothing. Because this can't be tracked. It must be witnessed, and I've seen this happen not just in parables or symbols, but in real lives. A person receives a grant for a vision they never officially filed for because something behind the scenes knew what they were capable of creating. A teacher gets a platform they never expected because they'd been building their wisdom within themselves all along. These weren't coincidences. They were the arrival of alignment and readiness. Sagittarius has a frequency. You've been holding it for years, like a hum of adventure in your bones. You weren't gaming the system. You weren't trying to manipulate outcomes. You were simply being a faithful seeker. You were quietly dedicated to something bigger than yourself. And while the world may not have validated it, the universe was taking note. Every leap of faith you chose over a safe step was being logged. Every act of generous wisdom you gave when you felt empty was remembered. And now the signal has been sent not from an algorithm, but from the heart of divine order buried deep in the vastness of the cosmos. So maybe, just maybe, This is the moment where you get to understand something life-changing. Your worth was never up for a vote. It was never theirs to grant. And now that truth is beginning to rise, undeniable and swift, like an arrow finally finding its mark. Have you ever felt unseen, like you kept offering your truth only to be met with skepticism? If so, speak that truth below. Share the real of your experience, because this isn't just a space for listening. This is a space to be witnessed. And your words, your story might just echo into someone else's waiting place. It's not an accident that this is arriving right now. In astrology, timing isn't luck. It's rhythm, it's alignment. It's the way light bends through the sky to write messages, not with ink, but with unfettered presence. And Sagittarius, this message has been circling toward you for longer than you know. And for you, dear Sagittarius, the current movement in the skies isn't just intriguing. It's breathtakingly expansive. Jupiter, your ruling planet, the essence of expansion, truth, and luck, is forming a rare and dynamic connection with Mars, the planet of action and courage. When these two energies meet in harmony, doors don't just creak open, they fly off the hinges all at once. Doubt softens, delays begin to dissolve as if the quest has finally found its propellant. What once felt like a barrier now starts to move at warp speed. But what gives this moment its deeper power is where the light is landing. The new moon now casts its initiating glow into your 10th house, the part of your chart that speaks to public image, career destiny, and your greatest calling. It's not about a small job title. It's about what you're meant to lead, often through paths you couldn't predict. Sometimes, even from experiences your body doesn't remember, but your spirit has never forgotten. In real-world terms, this is the kind of moment where a massive opportunity for influence or teaching arrives without warning, often from far-off places. And we're seeing the same story reflected in the tarot. The Wheel of Fortune has made its presence known. This is no ordinary figure. It is the embodiment of divine timing, the keeper of fate's most significant turns. A force that doesn't just promise stability. It guarantees a massive, non-negotiable shift in your favor. When this energy steps forward, it means what's coming towards you carries weight, speed, and undeniable momentum. And paired with the Hermit card, your mirror in this moment, the message couldn't be clearer. This is not a stroke of luck. It's the sacred decision of your own accumulated wisdom, a verdict rendered in your favor, not out of sympathy or coincidence, but because your energy matches what's true, because your name is written into the framework of cosmic freedom. And layered into this moment are two sacred numbers, 3 and 9. In numerology, 3 speaks of expansion, trinity, and communication. It governs the rhythm of growth, the forward momentum into the world. The 9 carries a different kind of message. It whispers of completion. It signals that something has reached its turning point, a checkpoint from the divine that says, you've searched, you've passed through. Now you're ready to hold the fullness of your wisdom. In the rush of daily demands and crowded calendars, this kind of alignment can be easy to miss. But if you stop and feel not just with your thoughts, but with the senses you've sharpened over time, you'll know this isn't by chance. The timing is flawless. That feeling of something arriving exactly when your hands are finally ready to catch it. It's familiar, isn't it? It's the same feeling you've had before a truth revealed when you needed it most. A ticket booked just as you were about to give up on the journey. a long-closed door to a new culture clicking open without warning. These aren't accidents. They're signs of something far more steady, a rhythm that honors what's been quietly growing. It's the law of return, the truth that effort in the dark still bears fruit in the light. Across many faiths, this is known as divine justice, that what's nurtured in silence will one day bloom in full view. A vision planted in weariness becomes a harvest you didn't even realize was yours to claim. So if this message is ringing true in your chest, it may be because the time is not just astrologically aligned, it's personally aligned. A part of you has been waiting for this, not loudly, not hurriedly, but patiently. And now the wait is over. If this feels like your moment, if something in you recognizes this unfolding, leave a comment below. Let us know you're here. Write, "My quest is now," or "Freedom is mine," to affirm that you're in step with what's being restored. This isn't just participation. It's a quiet declaration. And sometimes that small act of recognition is exactly what allows the launch to begin. Some might look at an unexpected promotion or a major global opportunity and say it's luck, a fleeting miracle, something that just happened. But you and I both know nothing that arrives with this much weight comes without purpose. What's coming to you now, Sagittarius, isn't some random stroke of luck. It's a return, a quiet transfer of not just material support, but of long overdue recognition, a rebalancing, a sacred nod that every time you stayed true to your expansive vision in a world trying to shrink you was never for nothing. There's something deeply honest and true about how the universe responds when you meet it fully. While man-made systems stall, miss the mark, or misjudge, energetic law doesn't. It may not follow human clocks, but it never misses the moment. This isn't the payoff for one great adventure or one golden week. What's arriving now is the harvest from years of seeking truth when no one else saw the point. Every time you extended wisdom when bitterness would have been easier. Every time you stood firm in your vision while others misunderstood your restlessness. That wasn't just strength. It was an investment, an offering into a realm that doesn't trade in praise, but in presence. A realm that observes in quiet, but returns in fullness. What arrives now isn't to shock you. It's to mend the scales that have leaned out of balance for too long. To recalibrate how the world sees your worth to match what's always been true about you. And maybe you didn't realize it, but you've been signing spiritual contracts all along. Not with ink, but with choices. With your truth-telling. With your unwavering hope. Every small act of integrity that seemed to drift into the background wasn't lost. It was being logged in a higher system, one that doesn't issue headlines, but honors timing. That's why this moment feels sudden, though it's been in motion for years. What looks like a massive breakthrough, its source is rooted in your endurance as a seeker. It echoes a truth many carry quietly, that what's done in darkness still holds weight, that the choices we make when no one's watching shape everything. Some of the most meaningful shifts I've seen haven't followed celebration. They've bloomed after quiet seasons of weariness, as if the breakthrough didn't wait for applause. It waited for alignment. It waited for the moment your spirit had grown expansive enough to hold it. And that's what's so powerful about this next chapter. It doesn't ask you to prove anything. It doesn't demand you become someone else. It's simply honoring what you already are. This isn't a gift signed by strangers. It's been authorized by a deeper part of you. The one who stayed honest in hard places. The one who believed in a future that hadn't yet arrived on paper, but had already taken root in your heart. So when the world starts to question how this all came to be, let them look, let them search, let them try to explain, because what they'll find isn't a fluke. It's faith, not luck, but lasting consistency of vision. And if you've ever wondered whether your quiet efforts meant anything, let this be your answer. They did. And now it's all returning with interest. If this message is resonating, I invite you to claim it with your voice. Drop a comment below that says, "I claim the truth I've earned." This is more than participation. It's permission, and only you have ever been qualified to give it. Sometimes the loudest statement isn't spoken at all. And Sagittarius, you're stepping into a chapter where your honest presence says everything that needs saying. You no longer need to explain yourself, not to skeptics, not to doubters, not to systems that tried to measure your worth with broken tools. What's unfolding now isn't a request for approval. It's a living, breathing confirmation. And when something is truly aligned, it speaks for itself. It doesn't ask to be believed. It just is. Picture this. A senior analyst stares at your file, confused. The numbers don't align. The profile doesn't match what's being delivered. Every line of logic says you shouldn't be receiving what's coming, but there it is, clear, verified, flowing. The analyst takes a breath, carries the report to their superior, and says there's no fraud here, just a record filled with expansive wisdom. That's you, Sagittarius. That's your energetic audit, and what it reveals won't be flaws. It will be the kind of fearless honesty the world rarely acknowledges until it can't ignore it anymore. This is why trying to explain yourself to people who already decided who you should be will only drain you. And this is not the season for shrinking, Sagittarius. This is not the time to bend your truth or explain your journey to make others feel more comfortable with your freedom. You already belong. You always have. And the universe has already moved on your behalf. Not because you're waiting for approval, but because your worth is non-negotiable. Let the record stand just as it is. Let the structures that once overlooked you now scramble to interpret what they can no longer ignore, because your blessings are real, and they're backed by something far deeper than permission. Maybe you've spent years trying to be understood, hoping someone would finally recognize the honest freedom you've carried through every room. But grace doesn't wait for validation. It arrives in its own rhythm. And Sagittarius, this moment is yours. This is the shift from being watched to being known. You're not stuck in the waiting room anymore. You're stepping through the door that's always had your name carved into the frame. I've seen this before. Souls like yours, once underestimated or misread, told they were too honest, too restless, too big to rise. But when the breakthrough came, it didn't come loud. It came solid. It came unmistakable. And suddenly, all those who looked down were left staring up, unable to look away. Because real results don't need a spotlight. They shine on their own. They echo even behind closed doors. And that, Sagittarius, is what your life is about to do. You don't have to defend what's arriving. You just have to carry it with care. You don't owe anyone the backstory. What you owe is your full presence on your path. This is where spiritual maturity anchors in. When you let others wrestle with their confusion, while you root deeper in your knowing, that's not pride, it's sovereignty. You're no longer waiting for permission to rise. You're moving because you've already been confirmed by truth, even in sacred writings. When others search for flaws in the ones who were chosen, they found only a record of alignment. Alignment doesn't mean perfection. It means integrity. It means choosing the expansive right over the tempting wrong, even when no one is watching. And that quiet decision made again and again is now speaking for you. If you've ever been dismissed, overlooked, or misunderstood, let this be the moment you stop folding yourself to fit someone else's narrow lens. Let this be the chapter where you live your truth fully. No need for subtitles. If this resonates with your journey, leave your mark in the comments. Write. I no longer explain, I launch. Let those words propel you. Let them be your strength. Because the most undeniable proof is a life that flourishes whether or not anyone claps for it. And that flourishing life, Sagittarius, is already unfolding. There comes a moment in every soul's path when the question changes from will I receive to what will I do with what I've been given. And for you, that moment has arrived. This is no longer just about provision. This is not just cosmic confirmation or long-awaited return. This is fuel. This is material. This is the raw form of something far more powerful than ease. It's the launch pad beneath your divine assignment. You are no longer meant to survive moment to moment. You are being called to live in uncontained freedom. And freedom isn't about excess. It's not luxury or show. It's the point when clarity, peace, and strength spill out of you naturally because your cup is finally full. You become the one who sponsors dreams, who opens doors in silence, who nourishes others simply because you've been nourished through grace, through persistence, through contracts written in spirit long before this moment began. But living in uncontained freedom asks something new of you. It requires a shift. You're not just here to receive, you're here to carry, to shape, to pass it on. Your role is evolving. You are becoming a steward of divine resource. And that resource is not limited to wealth. It includes energy, time, wisdom, voice, and love. Everything you're given now carries a different weight, and how you hold that weight will decide how far it can stretch. So, let's bring this into your actual body, your truest resource. This recent surge of energy isn't a fluke. It's your physical self aligning with something spiritual. To stabilize that shift, make gentle changes. Honor your inherent restlessness, don't suppress it with comfort. Add in activities that stimulate your mind, like reading, teaching, or mapping out that long-desired journey. Protect your sleep, not just to rest, but to integrate the wisdom of this new chapter. Now, your work. It's no longer about chasing the next lead or forcing open the next door. It's about letting the work that's made for you find its way to your field. And that begins by gently rewriting the story you've been living. You don't need to hustle from fear or apply with doubt. You attract through steadiness of vision, through the resonance you carry. Ask yourself honestly, does this align with my deeper mission and truth? If not, pause. The right path will reveal itself. And when it does, it won't just support your purpose. It will bring structure to your future freedom. Try this with your blessing. Divide it into 3 sacred containers. 1 for the next horizon, your major journey, education. 1 for shared wisdom, mentoring, teaching, charity. And 1 for unrestricted freedom, your safety net to pursue truth without fear. This isn't budgeting from fear. It's an expansive way of directing abundance with clarity. Money, like all energy, flows with ease when given thoughtful pathways to move through. And in love. Sagittarius, this is your reminder. Too often, you've quieted your honesty just to endure a world that mistook truth-telling for arrogance. But your directness is not a flaw. It's a signature. It's the very thing someone worthy is praying to meet. Let them see all of you, not the version you've edited for safety, but the fullness you've guarded so carefully. The right person won't be overwhelmed by your truth. They'll be activated by it. Living in uncontained freedom is not about waiting for a moment of peace. It's about stepping into your calm authority right here, right now. So I ask you, are you ready to live? Not like someone trying to be chosen, but like someone who already was because you were. And if that truth is rising in your chest, speak it into the atmosphere. Leave a comment below. I live in uncontained freedom. Let your energy confirm what your soul already knows. From now on, don't just ask what you can receive. Ask what you're here to release to the world. Because freedom grows when it flows through your choices, your grace, your expansive yes to becoming the vessel, not just a cup. If there's one truth I hope you take in deeply today, Sagittarius, it's this: no one else gets the final say on your direction, not outdated systems, not those who overlooked your gifts, not even the stories you've outgrown. What's arriving now, this sacred, undeniable shift, can't be blocked or delayed by outside opinion, because you, and only you, are the one with final say. You're the one who decides whether to welcome or resist what's already been marked with your name. It doesn't matter how many times you heard "not yet," or "you're too big," or "you don't meet the criteria." That was the voice of a world built to misunderstand what it couldn't measure. But now, you're standing in front of something far more real than that. You're standing at the edge of your own deep-rooted authority. This isn't about waiting for approval. This is about realizing you were already chosen by something wiser, older, and far more enduring than anyone's opinion. So the question now is, are you ready to say yes? What would shift if you truly believed this moment was crafted with you in mind? What would change if you moved like someone who no longer needs permission to rise, to grow, to overflow? Could you trust that the long road was never wasted, that every step was preparation for a life you're now fully qualified to hold? Let this be your gentle yet powerful invitation to lead. Not out there, but in here. Leadership of your energy, your time, your thoughts, your money. Leadership of the story you're telling yourself each day. Because when you begin to live like you are the final approver of your path, everything starts to respond. Doors behave differently. People treat you differently. You walk with a different rhythm. And most of all, you stop apologizing for the blessing that was always meant for you. So today, I'm not asking you to perform. I'm inviting you to activate something subtle but sacred in your own timeline, a quiet inner declaration that signals, I'm ready, not desperate, not doubting, just present, just clear. Leave a comment below. I am ready to receive my divine freedom. Not to prove anything, but to finally say yes to what's already yours. And remember, sometimes the smallest action holds the most energy. A click, a word, a breath of confirmation. These are not small. They are gateways. So, if things around you feel like they're shaking, if old systems seem unsure of who you're becoming, if people can't figure out this next version of you, Maybe it's not chaos. Maybe it's realignment. Maybe the universe is clearing the way. Not because you're lost, but because it's time for you to step forward like the archer, or rise like the prophetic philosopher you've always been. You don't need a bank signature. You don't need a panel's approval. The only yes that matters now is yours. So, what will it be? Will you shrink back, or will you say yes to the abundance that's already been growing beneath your soaring vision? Because Sagittarius, the next move belongs to you.